What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I am James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are excited because there are not too many opportunities that we get based on our busy lives to do an instant reaction video, but based on the timing of this news, obviously you can see from the title that the Baltimore Ravens have just signed the one, the only Odell Beckham Jr. As the presumed number one wide receiver here for the Baltimore Ravens. Really excited to talk about what that means, get into details, obviously give you our instant reaction. But before we talk about this, take a second if you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave all your comments below as we continue to grow the channel and give you guys what you want to hear. So, Glenn, what was your instant reaction when your notification, I'm assuming from Bleacher Report, popped up on your phone?
Yep.
What was your instant, reaction?
Wow. Simply wow. I mean, for a lot of reasons, right? Just the fact that I heard the reports that the Ravens were involved, and it was basically coming down to the Ravens, the Jets, and then some mystery sleeper team is what I was hearing. After the Cowboys, of course, signed Brandon Cooks or traded for one of the two. But I always looked at the Ravens as a long shot. I looked at him going to the Jets because he was on that wish list for Aaron Rodgers. And up to this point, we've seen the Jets kind of check a bunch of stuff off that wish list for Aaron Rodgers. They got Allen Lazard. I don't know if they got Randall Cobb or if they're in discussions to get Randall Cobb, but I can't imagine he's going anywhere else. So I thought, well, he's going to get, Odell Beckham, look, a guy who's coming off an injury, needs to go to a system where he thinks he can put up big numbers to hopefully get more than just a one-year deal like we're seeing him sign with the Ravens. I thought, like everyone thought, that he was going to end up being with the Jets and that the Ravens were once again going to be this short of bringing in a player that could really help the team and maybe get outbid by another team. But no, that's not the case. It's shocking. And not only that, but it's also been long-standing, kind of thought that wide receivers weren't going to want to come to the Ravens, weren't going to want to sign with the Ravens. And I get that a lot of that was from Greg Roman, and he's now out the door, but there's still an awful lot of uncertainty circling the quarterback position. So in that regard, I'm shocked because it's all but ink on the paper that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets. I'm not so sure it's as certain that Lamar Jackson will be under center here. So in that regard, I'm surprised. But could it be, Jimbo, that 1 year, $18 million was the best offer? And at the end of the day, if this team's going to give me 18 and maybe the Jets were only offering 15, maybe that's what the difference was. And maybe the Ravens finally outbid a team.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems uncharacteristic for the Baltimore Ravens to do something like this, especially for a guy at the wide receiver position. But I agree with everything you're saying. As soon as I saw the text message from you, I was like, are you kidding me? And it was funny. I was upstairs changing real quick and getting ready to take my son to the park. And I yelled downstairs to my wife, Tanya, and I'm like, hey, the Ravens just signed Odell Beckham Jr. She was like, you got to do a video. It was so funny. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is a huge day, huge deal for the Ravens. And just like you said, when it comes to the outbidding, I'll tell you what, Eric DaCosta finds a problem, and he's trying to attack it the best way he can, right? I mean, obviously, I think I would have preferred the DeAndre Hopkins signing, and I know we'll dig a little bit more or trade, situation. But being that it's a one-year deal with Odell, I think it works out well because DeAndre would have wanted the trade. You give up assets. You only have 5 picks. And then on top of that, you got to sign him to an extension to the guy that I think he's either 30 or 31. So he's a couple of years older at this point than Odell. Now, he's had less injuries, but all that being said, he would have wanted a truckload of money. So, yeah, if Eric went out there and outbid the Jets, I mean, more power to him. I'm excited. We don't have the details on what the deal means. It could be up to $18 million. There's obviously going to be playtime incentives. I don't know if there'll be production incentives as well. You hit 1,000 yards. I'm assuming something like that will be in there, whatever. But ultimately, this is a huge deal for the Baltimore Ravens. I think that since how long, at least potential, when he's healthy, when's the last time we had a receiver this good? Steve Smith? And Steve Smith was old. He was what, 36?
Now look, I'm not here to give up. I'm not saying we're giving up on Rashad Bateman.
I think they're a great duo.
Exactly. I don't necessarily know that this means Odell's the one. He could be 1A. He could be a strong 2. I think ideally the Ravens hope that Bateman still develops into that one they thought he would be when they drafted him at first overall. With their first overall pick.
Right. And I got to say this too. This also means that Rashad internally and the Ravens, even if it's a subconscious feeling, that he doesn't need to rush. We don't know if he's going to, everyone says he's running, he's doing this, he's doing that, and that's great, but he doesn't need to rush, right? Like he does not Atlas. You know what I mean? Holding up the whole world, because now they have a contingency plan. If Rashad Bateman never steps on the football field at all next year, presuming Odell's health, at least we have a guy. And if Odell gets hurt, right, then you have, so obviously ideally you want to have both, but the fact is you have, and just playmakers, period, right? But ultimately you have contingencies. Now I got to ask you this question. What do you think this means for, I know we're going to get into Lamar, but what does this mean? How excited do you think Todd Monken is? And what sort of a validation does this give Odell Beckham Jr. in his career? When, let's be honest, we've said on this show, and we don't want him because he's a lot of, a few years ago, he's a lot of drama, right?
Yeah.
But what sort of validation is it that a former OC of his certainly banged on the table and said, I want this guy if you can get him? Like, what do you think that does for him and Todd Monken?
Well, I think what it does for the organization, for the fan base, for someone like me who, here's the thing. When you watch these national shows, ESPN, Fox, all these national shows, we don't know other teams around the league as in depth as we know the Ravens. So when we see them covering the Ravens, we see a lot of times they're misled. It's very surface level reporting. It's not really, and we notice it when they're talking about the Ravens because we know the Ravens so well. Well, I got to imagine, even though I don't know the Vikings, I don't know the Lions, I don't know other teams as well, they probably do similar surface level reporting with everyone because they're covering all 32 teams of this league, plus that, the MLB, plus the NBA, NHL. So they have a lot to cover, so they can't go that deep. So maybe all this rumor about Odell Beckham was just another example of relative surface level reporting, and that maybe, look, is he a receiver that wants the ball and wants to contribute? Absolutely. Todd Monken said it himself that was the complaints. And he said, I'm all for guys that want the ball because that's, who wouldn't want to contribute on their team? And we saw J.K. Dobbins echoing some of the same sentiments. And I don't think the coaches were that upset about those kinds of complaints. So the fact that Todd Monken's going, look, I can vouch for this guy. He's not a bothersome guy in the locker room. Has he had some moments where he's been frustrated with lack of participation? Yeah. But as a receiver, that's your only way to impact the game oftentimes is to catch balls and make plays. So,
now, Glenn, I got details coming out on this deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Got some details coming out on this deal. According to Tom Pelissero, $13.8 million in signing bonus, 1.65 in guaranteed, in base salary, and $3 million in reachable incentives. So very front loaded. I didn't think, honestly, I didn't think the 13 was going to be that high. I didn't think that number was going to be that high. Obviously, they can break that up to kind of help the cap and make it a bit more friendly.
You can't break it up when it's one year.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you can't break it up when it's 1 year. Yeah.
So why? I wonder why they arrange it other than just to be like,
there's got to be some other
you
cap
sign with us. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a 1 year deal, so all of that's hitting the cap in 1 year.
Goodwill.
So it's just say, hey, you want your money up front? As soon as you sign it, we'll give you a 13. We'll give you almost the whole contract the day you sign it. Like, that has to be the way they beat out these other teams that were hoping for them.
Right. And the other thing too, Glenn, is I think it's fair to say that this is just another notch in the belt of the Ravens front office of getting deals done. Like Lamar, pay attention because deals are getting done. Obviously we're going to talk about that. But the other thing I want to read too, which I think is important, is from Josina Anderson, who said Ravens owner, who has been accused by many in local Ravens media as being Silent Steve and not participating. A Ravens owner, Steve Bisciotti, has been in frequent communication with Odell Beckham Jr., pitching him on the idea of coming to Baltimore, the support he would have with the team, and the necessity of helping to square things with Lamar Jackson as well. So, look, Steve's out there pitching. I think that's great news.
Well, that's huge. That's huge. And just to kind of further that point, we talked about how, and we talked about this pre-show, so let's bring it up now. And here's the tweet that Jimmy was just reading. We also talked about what this means opposite end. Like, if Odell Beckham Jr. is deciding to come to Baltimore, there's no way he's being told that it's Tyler Huntley at quarterback, or it's another, guy that he doesn't think that he must have some sort of idea that Lamar Jackson is going to be the quarterback, or why the hell else is he here? I mean, there's no way he's being attracted to Baltimore over the Jets that have Aaron Rodgers on his way when there's no guarantees that Lamar Jackson, or not at least a very good idea that Lamar Jackson is going to be under center. So this is good on so many levels as a Ravens fan. Not only are they finally, addressing the need at wide receiver with a more of a, now look, do you consider this more of a guarantee? He's coming off an injury, but I still consider this more of a guarantee, or like a sure thing, than the draft, which is a relative crapshoot.
100%, especially we talked about with the Ravens' history in the draft, right? Like, maybe the strategy just needs to be different. They've only hit on, the only one I can think of is Torrey Smith. If you're talking about a true hit. Outside of that, all the other receivers
he didn't reach, like, it wasn't like he was pro
stardom or anything like that, right? But ultimately, all the other guys we talked about, I got a question the other day, who was the best receiver in Ravens history, and you went right to Derek Mason, right? A free agency signing. A lot of people said Anquan Bolden, free agency signing.
Yep.
So yeah, ultimately, look, if this is the way you get it done, this is the way you get it done. I agree with you 100%. This is a better option from a likelihood of success scenario than the draft. It just is. So it's exciting to see, and who knows? Look, maybe they nab another guy in the third round of the draft. They might not be done. So, But ultimately, if you got your top three, whatever order, Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, and Devin Duvernay, and then you got a tight end room that is deep, right? And we got some excitement in the tight end room. That's
not
a lot
just
to get
a bunch of
excited
blockers. About. This is the pass catching tight end room.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, we don't have a ton of blockers in there right now. I got a lot of pass catchers, so it's exciting. Then you got the backs. Then you got the offensive line all coming back except one guy, and it looks like we got to fill in for him as long as he can stay healthy. Man, you're talking about a really exciting offense for 8 to get under center and say, you know what, this is a team worth getting behind. So,
and look at this, Odell Beckham's son.
Nice. The recruitment has begun.
Come on, man.
Yes. Hey, he's a master marketer, bro. Master marketer.
Come on,
Dude
man.
He's made so much money off of his air picks or whatever, the water pick thing on his.
He's not going anywhere now. He's not, and I'm so thankful because, guys, if you're a fan of the show, you heard me last show. I was down in the dumps. I thought it was all but over for the Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but this has totally changed my opinion. I couldn't be happier. I was so bummed to admit that I came to that, kind of to that point in my thought process of this situation. But man, this is a different story, and that also speaks to the respect level that Monken has from Odell Beckham, because look, people can look and say, well, that offense wasn't hitting on all cylinders. That was more so Freddie Kitchens that was doing a lot of the final say on that stuff. But they obviously built a relationship behind the scenes more so because now we're going to get to see under his actual offense what Odell can do. Now, let me ask you this, Jimbo. What's your level of, like, how optimistic are you about this pairing? Is this something where, coming off an injury, you expect Odell Beckham to go back to being what we're used to seeing and turn, a guy, because look, this is what you're getting. You're getting a guy, at least in his past, that could take us a 5-yard slant pass and go 70, because he did it against the Ravens right in front of our own eyes. He's also had some of the most incredible catches in NFL history. Is that the Odell Beckham they're getting? Could they possibly get that guy?
So I believe so, because one, he's a freak athlete. This dude is in a camp of a very few people athletically. So even if he's a bit diminished, I still think it takes a while for him to come down to the even above average athlete in the NFL. The dude is just insane. Like, to me, he's NBA athletic in his ability to move.
Explosiveness.
Then the side to side and all of the coordination, all of it. So that says a lot, right? So outside of that, yes. So to answer your question, the second part of it, yeah. And the other thing I'll say that gives me more confidence in that, think about it, Glenn. He got hurt in the Super Bowl more than a year ago. We're talking about, it's been 15 months, 16 months?
And he's still going to have to play for a long time.
Yeah, right, exactly. So he's going to have let's see, 12 months from February, March, April, May, June, July, July. So when does it get serious? Early July?
He's going to have almost 2 years off. I mean, a year and a half.
That's 19 months.
I mean, that's
right. 17
that's a
months.
long time to
That's
rehab.
17 months. Yeah, the year and a half, give or take, right? So that's incredible because that to me expedites the, what everyone says, oh, it takes a year, right? Well, he's already had the year. So this is the year now where he comes in. I mean, he's obviously, he looks yoked.
He looks good.
Absolutely jacked out of his mind. The workout must have been fun to watch and really convincing. So, man, I'm looking forward to it.
Jimbo, it also bodes well to the thought because, look, there was a pretty damning report that came out from the Players Association talking about the strength and conditioning program here with the Ravens. Now, they've let go Steve Saunders, who was the head of that. But the fact that a guy coming off a pretty massive injury is willing to come here in his first year, first game action since that injury, I think also bodes well that there's not this perception around the league that the Ravens can't, keep players healthy or can't get rehab players back to full strength.
100%, dude. I'm so excited about this. Ravens flock, hopefully you are as well. We can't wait to break it down even more on Tuesday, what it means for Lamar, what it means to this team moving forward, what the other moves are they're going to have in the draft. The draft is less than 3 weeks away, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you leave all your comments below. Like I said, of course, subscribe to the show, but be there on Tuesday night. Of course, we'll be there with some new content. But that's all for us. Leave all your comments below, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you. Yesterday does not matter. You're looking forward to today.
I'm looking forward to being a Raven.
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that.